Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me here today. If you will, like, share, comment on the post, and then if you like, you can join me in the book of Genesis, chapter number 17, and beginning in verse number 6. So we'll begin there, and as we look at this passage, there's several things that I hope I want you to see in this. There's some really good things for our walk with the Lord in this passage. And so if you will, like, share, comment on the post, and then you can join me there where we read, I will make you exceedingly fruitful, and I will make you unto nations, and kings shall come from you. And I will establish my covenant between me and you and your offspring after you throughout their generations for an everlasting covenant to be God to you and to your offspring after you. And I will give to you and your offspring after you the land of your sojournings, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. So several truths here that I want us to see that are important. Some of them really have a real spiritual, I think, meaning. Then some of them have more of a current events. Some may even would say political meaning. First of all, notice we have what is known here as the Abrahamic covenant, and God is making a covenant. He says that here, and there's two things that he promises Abraham. First of all, he promises that they are his people, that Abraham's descendants will be his people, that he makes that promise to them. And so, and then it's important to notice that he says that this covenant goes on even to your descendants. So they are still God's people. The Jews, they have, everyone knows history. They have been despised. They have been hunted. They have been killed throughout time by various groups. Some of them more well known than others. Certainly, for most of us, we think about the events of the Holocaust, but that is not the only time that the Jews, they to this day, are still hunted. Even to this day, as the president, whatever he is, of Iran, may not be the president, I don't know his title, but has swore to wipe out the nation of Israel. But God says, these are my people. And so we need to be cautious that we never forget that. And one of my prayers is always here in America, that regardless of who we elect, Democrat, Republican, or some new party or no party, whatever they are, man, woman, whoever, that we never forget they are God's people. But not only does he make the promise that they are God's people, but he also says, I'm going to give you a land. And there's much argument, fighting even, warring even, over this little tiny strip of land there in the Middle East that several different groups claims to be their land, claims to be their possession. But here we see clearly all the way back in the book of Genesis that God establishes an everlasting covenant with the descendants of Abraham. And so they are a special people with a special land. They are a promised people with a promised land. Verse 8 is, I'm going to give you the land of your sojournings, the land of Canaan. And he says it will be yours, a everlasting possession. And so he makes that very clear here. And so we have Hamas, we have the Muslims, we have all types of different groups who want to lay claim to this land. But this land is clearly been designated by God himself practically from the beginning of time, of recorded human time, that this land belongs to the descendants of Abraham. And then he does all that, if you notice, he ends this passage by saying, after promising Abraham's descendants to be his his people and promising him this land, and he makes the key statement. He says, "And I will be their God." He does these two things so that he can have a relationship with them. God's desire has always been a relationship with his people. And even though we now live in a new covenant since the death, burial, and resurrection of Christ, even that is a means of establishing a relationship with God's people, that he wants to have that relationship with them. But then those are some of the somewhat political, somewhat spiritual things we can draw from this verse. But then to move to a strictly spiritual matter as a conclusion, or that we can make from these three verses, that I hope may be a benefit to you and help you along the way, is God says here, you're going to be my people, and this is going to be your land, and I'm going to be your God. And since that day, he has been working to make those promises be carried out. Again, over the years, numerous people have made a decision, made a conscious effort to wipe out the Jews. Most of those folks who have made that decision are dead and gone. Many nations have made a decision, made an effort to wipe out the people of God, to take their land, and yet they still stand and they still possess their land. We've seen numerous occasions when far greater powers, on paper at least, came against Israel. And yet, when it was all said and done and when the dust settled, Israel, God's people, these chosen people here, were still standing. And that God has been faithful to this promise that he made to Abraham all these years. I'm not saying there haven't been hard days. I'm not saying there hasn't been difficulty, that there haven't been, again, many people who have come against them, many nations who have railed against them, many who have died. But yet, when it was all said and done, God's people the Jewish people are stronger than they were before. There's more of them. They're still in their land, and God is still honoring his promise. And I tell you that this morning to remind you that God is a promise-keeping God. He is true to his word. And we have a Bible filled with his promises. Most of all, he promises to save all who call on his name. He promises to return and take his people home, take his people to be with him for an eternity. And just as Israel could depend on the promises that God made to them, you can depend on the promises of God's word. You think about it today. You have a great day. We'll see you here tomorrow morning.